The phone rang just before dinner. I picked up without checking the name. "Mom?" Ethan said. His voice sounded nervous, like he already knew he was doing something cruel. Then came the sentence that cracked the air in half. "Only Lauren's family is coming on the cruise. You're too old, and honestly, you make things awkward." For a second, I couldn't even speak. My son, the man I raised, the one whose debts I cleared, whose wedding I paid for, was cutting me out like a stranger. He kept talking. "Lauren thinks it'll just be more fun without tension. You know how you can be sometimes. Tension. That's what they called my presence now." I asked quietly, "After everything I did for you?" He sighed, annoyed. "Mom, please don't make this emotional. We just want to relax. You wouldn't enjoy it anyway." I could hear her voice in the background, Lauren, laughing, giving him words to say. "She's there with you?" "Of course," he said, too quickly. I looked around the room I was standing in. Every piece of furniture, every painting, every tile, they owned because I had written the checks. Their $1.8 million villa? My money. Their honeymoon? My money. Their wedding? Every glass of champagne, every flower, every stupid thank you speech that never mentioned my name. And now I was too old. "Okay." He seemed relieved. "Glad you understand. We'll call when we're back." The line went dead. That word, "okay," echoed through the house like a gunshot with no sound. I sat down. The phone still glowed in my hand. They had just erased me. Not by accident, by choice. Then the rage came. Not loud, not messy, just clean. I dialed back. He didn't answer. I called again. Voicemail. One more time. This time, Lauren picked up. Her voice was sugar. "Oh, hi, Nora. Did Ethan tell you? It's just a short family cruise. You'd get bored." I said, "You mean your family? I'm not family anymore, right?" A pause, then a small, fake laugh. "Oh, don't be dramatic. We just thought you'd rather rest. Cruises can be exhausting for older guests." That word again, older. I could hear Ethan whispering behind her, "Lauren, hang up." But she didn't. She enjoyed it. So I gave her something she didn't expect. Calm. "Lauren, I hope you enjoy the cruise. I paid for that villa you're sitting in, the cars in your driveway, and the last 3 vacations you bragged about on Instagram, but you forgot one thing." "What's that?" she said, smug. "I still own every signature tied to it." Silence. A long, sharp one. Then she snapped, "You wouldn't dare." Click. I hung up. My hands were steady. My mind was clear. They had called me too old, too awkward, too unnecessary. But I built their comfort, dollar by dollar, lie by lie. They thought they'd humiliated me. They had just freed me. I walked to the study and opened the drawer. Every file, every document, mortgage, insurance, deed, had my name at the top. Lauren had asked to help organize them months ago. Now I saw it differently. She wasn't organizing. She was hunting. Not anymore. I took out the stack, set them on the desk, and smiled. If they wanted a life without me, they could have it, completely. But not on my money. When you're my age, you learn something. Silence is useful. But sometimes, it's better to let them hear the door slam before the storm hits. I grabbed my phone again and sent one final text. "Enjoy your cruise. When you come back, check who your landlord is." Then I turned the phone off. The screen went black, and in that reflection, I didn't see a victim. I saw a plan. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard Ethan's voice again. "You're too old. It'd be awkward." By morning, I wasn't sad anymore. I was awake, in every sense of the word. I made coffee and walked through my house, except it didn't look like mine anymore. Lauren had turned it into her kingdom. White curtains, gold frames, scented candles that smelled like arrogance. She used to say, "Oh, Nora, you'll always have a room here." Now I understood what she meant. as long as I kept paying the bills. Their wedding photo hung above the fireplace. She stood in the center, perfect hair, fake smile. I was pushed to the corner like I'd photobombed my own family. Then I noticed something taped to the fridge, a pink post-it in her handwriting. "Don't forget to send the maintenance transfer. Mom always does it." That word, Mom, made my stomach turn. Mom? No. I was their personal bank with a heartbeat. I picked up the mail pile on the counter. Electricity, water, taxes, all in my name. Every light they switched on, every shower they took, every meal they cooked, paid by me. And now I was too old. I said it out loud this time, just to hear it break in the air. "Too old? You live off my life savings." Then I saw the drawer in my study slightly open. Inside, some files were missing. Property documents, insurance forms. Lauren had been helping me organize paperwork last month. She brought wine, called me Mom, and smiled the whole time. Now I knew why. I heard the gate creak outside. Carol, my neighbor and closest friend, stepped in. One look at my face and she froze. What happened? I handed her my phone and played Ethan's message. She listened once. Her expression hardened. "They're not careless, Nora. They planned this. Check your accounts before they take the rest." I wanted to argue. Ethan wouldn't do that, but even saying it felt ridiculous. Carol leaned closer. "That woman controls him. She's using your kindness like a credit card." Her words landed like a slap. I didn't cry. I didn't even blink. I just whispered, "Then it's time to cancel the card." Carol stared at me. "What are you going to do?" I looked around the house one last time. The furniture I built, the walls I painted, the photo of a smiling son who no longer existed. Then I said, calm and final, "I'm taking back everything they think is theirs." Before Carol could answer, my phone buzzed. A text from Lauren. "Morning, Nora. Don't forget to cover the house payment today. I'll send you the details." I stared at that message for 5 long seconds. Then I typed back, "I already made a payment. You'll feel it soon." I hit send. Carol blinked. "You didn't—" "I did," I said. "They wanted a clean break. I'll make sure it's permanent." The wind picked up outside, slamming the gate shut with a metallic snap. The sound was satisfying, like punctuation at the end of a long sentence. I poured the untouched coffee down the sink. Its steam vanished just like my patience. Lauren thought she could erase me quietly, but she'd just awakened something she couldn't control. She took my kindness for weakness. Now she'd learn the difference. Lauren had drawn the first line when she called me too old. Now it was my turn to finish the story. By noon, I was done pretending everything was fine. The silence in the house was unbearable, the kind of silence that buzzes under your skin. I dialed Carol. She didn't ask questions. She just said, "I'm coming." 20 minutes later, she walked in with 2 mugs of coffee and that look, the one that means she already knows something's wrong. She sat across from me, slid her mug forward, and said, "Talk." I handed her my phone. The message was still there. "Only Lauren's family is joining the cruise. You're too old, Mom." Carol read it twice. Her jaw clenched. "That wasn't a slip of the tongue," she said. "That was an eviction notice." I tried to laugh it off. "Maybe they just—" "Stop," she cut in. "Don't defend them. Not after that." Her voice was sharper than usual, like she'd been holding it in for years. Then she asked the question that changed everything. "Do you even check your own accounts anymore?" The room went cold. "What do you mean?" I asked. Carol leaned forward. "Didn't you say Lauren helps you with online banking now? How long has she been helping?" "Since last year," I said. "She said it was easier—" "Easier for who, Nora?" The way she said my name, it wasn't pity, it was alarm. I opened my laptop, hands shaking slightly. The first thing I saw was an automatic payment. Transfer, $1,200. Maintenance fee, every month, same date, same note. I clicked again. Another transfer, $3,500. Then $4,800, all to an account with Lauren's name buried in the details. My throat went dry. Carol leaned in. There, that's what I meant. They're draining you, inch by inch. I could barely speak. She said those were for taxes and home insurance. Carol's eyes hardened. Then why is her personal email listed as the recipient? It hit me like a wave. Every favor, every "let me handle it for you," every sweet smile. It wasn't kindness. It was control. I closed the laptop slowly. They've been stealing from me. Carol nodded, calm but furious. And they'll take everything if you don't stop them now. For a long time, I didn't move. I thought about the years I spent protecting Ethan, paying his debts, pretending not to see how Lauren looked at me, like I was something temporary. That ends today. Carol stood, pacing the room. Listen to me. You need a lawyer, a good one, someone who can undo whatever they've set up. I know someone, I said quietly. Martin Cole. She stopped pacing. You trust him? He handled Richard's estate. He doesn't miss a comma. Good, she said. Then call him, today, before they move another cent. I nodded. My voice came out flat, steady. They called me too old. I'll show them what old money can do. Carol smirked, half proud, half angry. Now that's the Nora I know. She took my hand. Promise me something. Don't let guilt stop you. They're counting on it. I looked out the window. The ocean shimmered beyond the glass. Calm, deceptive, endless. They think silence means surrender, I said. Carol shook her head. No, in your case, silence means calculation. Before she left, she turned at the door. They don't deserve you, Nora, but they're about to meet you. When she was gone, I sat alone at the kitchen table. The house didn't feel heavy anymore. It felt like evidence. I opened the laptop again and stared at the numbers. Every stolen dollar lit up like a breadcrumb trail, leading straight to them. I whispered to myself, you thought you could use my trust. You forgot who taught you to sign your first check. Then I reached for my phone and called Martin Cole's office. The receptionist answered. Good afternoon, Caldwell Law Group. I said, tell Mr. Cole it's Nora. It's time to reclaim what's mine. It was 2:17 a.m. when I woke up. No nightmare, no noise, just a feeling, like someone had been in my house while I slept. I went to the kitchen, poured water, and saw the glow of my laptop across the room. It was still open. Lauren had used it the day before, just to check something. I sat down. My hands were steady, but my stomach wasn't. The screen blinked awake. Online banking, password saved. How convenient. I scrolled through my recent transactions, and my heart went cold. Every month, thousands missing under innocent names, home maintenance, insurance renewal, service fees, all linked to one account, L. Caldwell, Lauren. There it was, plain as daylight, hidden in plain sight, $4,800, $6,200, $2,100, every few days. Small enough not to scream, big enough to bleed me dry. I clicked further back. 10 months. 10 months of quiet theft. My reflection glowed on the laptop screen. Silver hair, tired eyes, ring glinting from the light. I whispered, you didn't just steal money. You stole trust. The mouse trembled for a moment, then steadied. I printed every page, the evidence spitting out of the printer like a confession. Page after page, proof of betrayal signed in digital ink. The house was silent, except for the low hum of the printer and my breathing. Slow, deliberate. Then my phone lit up. A text from Ethan. Hey, Mom. Don't worry about the bills this month. Lauren's got everything handled. Everything handled. My jaw tightened. I texted back, just one word. Good. Then I turned off the Wi-Fi and started sorting the papers into neat piles. When you've been humiliated, the first thing you want is noise. When you've been betrayed, what you need is proof. Every transfer, every forged signature, every line, I circled them in red. By the time I finished, my dining table looked like a crime scene. Because it was. Lauren's smiling face in every photo around me. Now it all looked different. The wedding pictures, the thank you mom cards, all props in her long con. I opened the side drawer. Richard's old watch still sat there, stopped at 2:17, the exact minute I woke up. Maybe he'd been right all along. You can't teach loyalty, Nora. You can only test it. And they'd failed. Every single one of them. Outside, the wind rattled the shutters. I didn't flinch. I was already planning. At 3:04, I called Carol. She answered on the first ring. "What's wrong?" "They've been taking money," I said. "How much?" "Enough to fund their cruise." Silence. Then she said, "It's time you stop being their victim." I looked at the pile of papers. "No," I said. "It's time I become their audit." She exhaled, half a laugh, half a sigh. That's the Nora I remember. I hung up and walked to the hallway. The photo of Ethan as a child stared back at me, ice cream on his chin, sunlight in his hair. I touched the frame gently. "You could have had everything," I whispered, "but you chose her." My phone buzzed again. Lauren this time. "Don't forget to transfer the villa insurance tomorrow. I'll text you the number." I stared at the message until my hands stopped shaking. Then I typed, "Sure, I'll make sure it's handled." And I would. Because in that moment, I wasn't his mother anymore. I was the woman they underestimated, the one who knew how to play quiet. I gathered every printed page into a folder, clipped it shut, and placed it beside Richard's ring on the table. 2 symbols of truth, one emotional, one legal. Then I whispered to the empty room, it wasn't about a cruise. It was about control, but control changes hands. The clock struck 4:00 a.m. Outside, the horizon began to lighten. By sunrise, I wasn't just awake. I was armed. It was 2:17 a.m. when I woke up. Not from fear, from instinct. Something in me said, "Get up." I walked through the dark house. The air was too still, too perfect. Then I saw it, my laptop glowing on the counter. Lauren had used it earlier that day, just to check the insurance documents. Of course she had. I sat down. The cursor blinked like a warning light. I opened my bank account. And there it was. The truth, line by line. Maintenance fee, $2,300. Service renewal, $4,100. Insurance adjustment, $3,850. Same dates, same descriptions, same thief. Every transaction led back to L. Caldwell. Lauren. For 10 months, she'd been draining me like a slow leak, quiet enough that I'd never notice. Until tonight. I scrolled further. My breath caught. She'd even linked her credit card to my account. Every restaurant, every online order. On my dime. The humiliation I felt yesterday was gone. This wasn't humiliation anymore. This was war. Then the phone buzzed. A message from Ethan. "Hey, Mom, don't worry about the bills. Lauren's taking care of everything." I almost laughed. Taking care of everything. She was taking care of me, out of my own pocket. I typed one word back. Perfect. I turned off the Wi-Fi and printed everything. Pages poured from the printer. Proof, receipts, betrayal in black ink. Each sheet made the same sound. Justice loading. When the last page slid out, I stacked them neatly. Evidence doesn't need to shout. It just needs to exist. Then my phone buzzed again. Lauren this time. "Morning reminder. Don't forget to pay the property tax. You always forget things at your age." That line stopped me cold. At your age. She didn't even bother to hide her cruelty anymore. I stared at her message and whispered, "Enjoy your age jokes while you can." Then I printed that text too. The entire kitchen smelled of warm paper and burnt trust. At 3:00 a.m., I called Carol. She picked up instantly. "Nora, what's wrong?" "They've been stealing," I said, "every month for almost a year." "Proof?" "Enough to drown them." She paused, then said what I already knew. "It's time to stop being their wallet." I looked at the pile of papers. "No," I said, "it's time to make them pay fees." She laughed under her breath. "Now that sounds like you." When I hung up, I opened the bottom drawer of the cabinet. Inside was Richard's old watch, silver, stopped at 2:17. The same time I woke up. Maybe coincidence. Or maybe, just maybe, he was reminding me what he always said. Don't fight with anger. Fight with evidence. I put the watch on. Cold metal. Clear mind. By 4 o'clock, the kitchen table looked like a detective's board. Every receipt pinned down, every lie marked in red ink. The more I looked, the calmer I got. Lauren thought I'd break down. Instead, I was building a case. Before dawn, another message arrived. We're off to the cruise tomorrow. Don't stay up worrying. We'll call if we need money. My reply was short. You won't. Then I locked my laptop, sealed the folder, and placed it beside my late husband's ring on the table. 2 witnesses, one silent, one steel. I whispered into the stillness. It wasn't about the cruise. It was about control. But control changes hands today. When the first ray of light touched the window, I wasn't angry anymore. I was ready. They stole in silence. Now silence will be their sentence. The next morning, I didn't drink coffee. I drank focus. By 9 a.m., I was standing in the glass lobby of Pierce & Associates Financial Group, the same office where Lauren once bragged, "We'll take care of everything for you, Mom. You can relax." Relax. That word burned now. Julian Pierce, my financial advisor, looked up. "Mrs. Caldwell, everything all right?" "No," I said. "It's about time you show me everything my name's attached to." He blinked. "Everything?" "Everything." So, minutes later, his desk was buried in documents, contracts, bank authorizations, loan requests, each one stamped with my name, and a signature that wasn't mine. Julian adjusted his glasses. "Mrs. Caldwell, this is—" "Forgery?" I asked. He exhaled. "Let's call it unauthorized enthusiasm. Lauren Caldwell has been operating under a durable power of attorney, full access, complete control." My blood ran cold. Lauren's voice echoed in my head. "You can trust me, Nora. You're not getting any younger." I clenched the edge of the desk. "She tricked me into signing that, didn't she?" Julian nodded. "The date matches her wedding week. It was disguised as an insurance update." For a moment I couldn't speak. Then I laughed. Quiet. Sharp. "She used my love as legal paperwork." Julian's tone dropped. "If she has control, she can move assets, sell property, even take loans under your name. So she's not just stealing." I met his eyes. "She's taking ownership," he hesitated. "If we move fast, we can revoke it before they notice. You'll need your lawyer to file the reversal." "Martin Cole," I said immediately. "He's waiting for my call." Julian nodded. "Good choice. But you need to understand, this will cause family tension." I smiled, cold and steady. They already caused that when they sold my trust. He slid a form toward me. "Sign here to begin the revocation." I picked up the pen and paused. "Print every document she's ever touched, every dollar she's ever moved." He hesitated. "That's hundreds of pages." "Then print double." The printer whirred. Paper piled up like evidence in a courtroom. Julian looked at me curiously. "May I ask what you plan to do?" "I'm done forgiving." I looked him dead in the eye. "Now I'm itemizing." He nodded slowly, almost impressed. "Mrs. Caldwell, you remind me of someone who's already won." "I'm just making sure they know it." When I left the building, the wind was sharp and bright. My phone buzzed. Lauren. "Morning, Mom. I paid the house tax for you. Don't stress. I'm better at this stuff than you are." I typed back, "You're right. You've always been better at stealing." Then I deleted the thread. Across the street, Martin Cole's office stood waiting. Glass doors, brass plaque, quiet power. I walked in, folder in hand. "Martin," I said, "I want every account revoked, every signature removed, every access cut. Starting today." He studied my face. "Are you sure you want to start a war?" I didn't blink. "It already started. I'm just the one writing the ending." He smiled faintly. "Then let's begin." As I signed the first revocation, something in me clicked back into place, like a door finally locking after years of being left open. Lauren thought she'd outsmarted me, but she forgot one thing. I built the house she's standing in. By the time I left the office, my hand was steady again. The papers in my bag weren't just legal documents. They were weapons. I whispered to myself, love without respect is a contract I won't renew. Then I looked up at the sky, calm and clear, and added quietly, next time they call me too old, I'll make sure it's on record. They forged my name. I'll make sure they read it in court. By 11 a.m., I was sitting in Martin Cole's office, mahogany desk, silver pen, no sympathy, just law. He looked up from the folder Julian had sent. You've been busy. Just catching up, I said. I was asleep for too long. He adjusted his glasses. You want to revoke every authorization? Bank, real estate, trust? Everything, I said. If my name's on it, I want it back in my control. He flipped through the documents, hundreds of pages. This will trigger alarms, especially if she's monitoring your accounts. I leaned forward. Good, let her panic. He gave a slow smile. You've changed since last year, Mrs. Caldwell. I learned the price of politeness, I replied. He nodded. All right, let's start. His assistant entered with a stack of forms thicker than a Bible, each page a reversal, a revocation, or a silent declaration of war. Martin pointed at the first line. This one removes her from the villa's co-authorization. She won't be able to borrow against it again. I signed. The sound of the pen slicing paper felt like a heartbeat. Steady. Final. The next form was for the estate trust. He explained, You're transferring all assets back under your private authority. I interrupted. Translation, I'm taking back what's mine. He smiled faintly. That's one way to phrase it. As I signed the last form, my phone buzzed again. Lauren. Hi, Mom. Just wanted to remind you. Ethan and I will need the villa keys before the cruise. We promised our friends a stay. Hope that's okay. I turned the phone toward Martin. Can I have this printed and attached to the file? He chuckled. Evidence of entitlement. Perfect exhibit. I typed back. Of course. I'm taking care of it today. Then I slid the phone aside. Martin glanced at me. You're calm. Most people cry at this stage. I cried when I trusted her. This part feels clean. He nodded once. That's how justice works. Quiet, not loud. He handed me a new set of papers. Next, we'll reassign your bank accounts. Once I submit this, every card and transfer she touches will bounce. Do it, I said. As he typed, the faint clicking of his keyboard filled the room like a metronome of retribution. You know, Martin said softly, people like Lauren rely on noise. They assume silence means surrender. She's about to find out silence is a strategy, I said. He smirked. Then let's weaponize it. By noon, every document was sealed, stamped, notarized. The final sound, the thud of the notary's seal, was the sound of victory. Martin handed me a copy. You've just taken back your entire life, on paper. I held the file tightly. On paper first. Then in person. He nodded. If she tries to use your accounts now, it'll flag as fraud. Good, I said. I want her to feel the walls close in. As I stood, Martin said, There's something else. Your husband's estate is still under joint custody. Want to separate that too? I paused. Yes, every piece of him belongs to me, not them. He looked at me for a long second. Understood. I took one last glance at the signature line. My name, clean and clear. No forgery, no manipulation. That's what real ownership looks like. A pen, a choice, and no apology. Before I left, Martin said, You know, this might get ugly once they realize what you've done. I opened the door. Martin, it already was ugly. Now it's just legal. He laughed. I'll call when everything's finalized. Don't call, I said. They'll be calling soon enough. I stepped into the hallway, folder under my arm. For the first time in months, my steps didn't echo like someone running away. They sounded like someone returning. When I reached the elevator, I caught my reflection in the steel doors. No sadness, no fear, just calculation. As the doors closed, I whispered, "Let's stop pretending this isn't war." The elevator dinged softly, and with that sound, every signature behind me turned into a loaded weapon pointed directly at them. I didn't raise my voice. I just revoked their power. That evening, I came home to find an envelope slipped under my front door. Cream-colored, expensive paper, Lauren's perfume, the same sweet poison she wore at her wedding. I didn't touch it right away. I just stood there, staring at it on the floor, like it might bite. Then curiosity won. Inside was a letter and another stack of papers. At the top, in her soft handwriting, "Just sign these, Mom. It'll make things easier for everyone." Below, bold text, "Irrevocable power of attorney." My laugh came out low, almost a growl. They were still trying to finish what they started. I flipped through the pages. The clauses were aggressive: full authority, immediate effect, non-revocable, all assets under joint control. Every sentence screamed, "Give us everything." I read the last line out loud. "In exchange for full management, Lauren and Ethan agree to provide lifetime care for the signer." "Care," I whispered. "You mean a cage?" Then I noticed something else, a faint indentation. Someone had signed on top of another document. I held it against the light. Under my forged signature there was another one, Ethan's. That's when I stopped feeling sorry for my son. He knew. He'd known all along. The phone rang. Ethan's name flashed on the screen. I answered. "Mom," he said, voice shaky but rehearsed. "Lauren just wanted to help with the paperwork. Don't take it the wrong way." I stayed quiet. Silence, I'd learned, is more powerful than shouting. "Mom," he said again, "you trust me, right?" I finally spoke. "I used to." He started panicking. "We're just organizing everything. You don't need to worry about details anymore." "Like how much money I have left?" I cut in. He froze. I could hear his breathing change. "Who told you?" "You did," I said. "Every time you stayed quiet." There was a pause, then Lauren's voice joined the call. "Nora, darling, this is a misunderstanding. We're family." "Family doesn't forge signatures," I said. She chuckled softly. "It's not forgery if it's for your benefit. You're just tired." Her tone was sugar-coated venom, the same tone she used when she told me I was too old for their cruise. I said nothing. I just let her talk. Manipulators hate silence. It makes them hear themselves. After a few seconds, she snapped, "You're making this harder than it needs to be, Nora. Just sign the damn papers." I smiled. I already did. The line went dead quiet. Then Lauren asked, voice trembling, What do you mean?" "I signed," I said. "But not what you sent." She stammered. "What did you, I signed everything that cancels you." Click. Call ended. I stood there, phone in one hand, envelope in the other, the echo of my words filling the hallway. I didn't rip the papers. I didn't burn them. I slid them neatly into a folder labeled Evidence. Revenge isn't about rage. It's about record-keeping. The next morning, I took the envelope to Martin Cole. He read the first page, sighed, and muttered, "They were trying to lock you out of your own life." "They almost did," I said, "until they underestimated how good I am at reading fine print." He nodded. "This is criminal intent, Nora. With your permission, I'll forward copies to the investigator." "Harlan Boyd," I said. "Julian already mentioned him." Martin raised an eyebrow. "You want to go that far?" I looked him dead in the eye. "They forged my name. I'm done being polite." He smiled. "Then let's make it official." He took the envelope from me, sealed it with a red tag, and said, "From this moment, you are legally untouchable." Untouchable. I liked that word. Before I left, Martin said, "You're calm. Most people want to scream." I answered quietly, "I'll let the results do that for me." When I walked out of the office, the air outside felt sharper, cleaner. The wind caught a loose corner of the old envelope in my hand. I let it go. It flew down the steps, fluttering like a white flag. But this wasn't surrender. This was victory. In motion. They borrowed my house. I sold their illusion. By the time Lauren's cruise ship left Miami Harbor, my house had already changed owners. The sale cleared at 2:04 p.m. I watched the confirmation email flash across my screen while sipping coffee. Black, no sugar. For the first time in months, the air inside my apartment didn't feel heavy. It felt like a courtroom after the verdict. Lauren's last text still sat unread. "Hope you remember to feed the garden, Mom. We'll be gone for 2 weeks." I didn't reply. I was too busy erasing every trace of her access. Accounts, titles, passwords, utilities, insurance. One click at a time. Martin called that evening. "Everything's finalized. The funds are secure. They won't be able to touch a single dollar." "Good," I said. "Let them enjoy their vacation." He chuckled. "You sound almost generous." "I am," I said. "I gave them the most expensive lesson they'll ever get." By the third day of their cruise, Harlan's updates started rolling in. "Lauren's been trying to log into the villa's smart system," he said. "Access denied." "Ethan tried to call your old lawyer. Number disconnected." They both checked their joint account. Balance, 0. I smiled faintly. "They'll start fighting soon." He laughed. "You really know them." "Better than they know each other," I said. Meanwhile, back home, I moved into a new apartment, small but bright, on the 14th floor, with wide windows facing the bay. No framed photos, no family portraits, just peace. I hadn't told anyone where I was, except Martin, and the woman who bought the villa. She was a widow named Mrs. Benson, calm, polite, eyes full of grace. When we met to sign the handover, she said, "You must have loved that house deeply." "I did," I replied. "That's why I let it go before it got poisoned." She nodded slowly. "Sometimes you have to lose walls to save your sanity." A week later, I got a voicemail from Ethan, the first in months. "Mom, I don't understand what's happening. We can't reach the bank. Lauren's panicking. She says you changed something. Please, just call me back." His voice shook between anger and fear, the sound of a man realizing he was no longer in control. I didn't call him back. Instead, I opened my journal and wrote 6 words. They traded love for leverage. I traded silence for peace. That night, the storm hit. Not the weather, but the headlines. Breaking news: couple detained at sea for financial fraud. Lauren and Ethan Grant. Charges under investigation. Forgery, unauthorized loan applications, property misrepresentation. Harlan's message arrived seconds later. They tried to access the funds mid-ocean. The bank flagged the transfers. Authorities boarded the ship at dawn. I read it twice, then set my phone down. Justice doesn't always come with sirens. Sometimes it sails right to you. The next morning, my phone buzzed again. 54 missed calls, mostly from Ethan. Then one voicemail from Lauren, her voice brittle. "You destroyed everything. The house, the accounts, our future, everything. You're sick, Nora. You're vindictive. We just wanted a better life." I played it once, then again, this time with my coffee. There was no regret in her tone, just outrage that she'd lost. When it ended, I whispered, "No, Lauren, you wanted my life." By noon, news cameras were waiting outside their port. Photos surfaced online. Lauren in designer sunglasses, crying into her phone, Ethan red-faced beside her. The captions were merciless. "Couple's luxury cruise ends in investigation." The comment section was even harsher. "They look like those people who think money grows on parents. Good for the mother if she cut them off." I didn't smile. Not yet. I simply watched as the world turned their arrogance into a headline. That evening, Martin called again. "You've officially outmaneuvered them. The investigation cleared your name completely. Their forged paperwork is the only thing under review." "Any charges?" I asked. "Likely, but it's their storm to face now." I nodded. "Let it rain." He hesitated, then asked, "Do you ever feel sorry for them?" "No. They felt nothing when they humiliated me." He paused. "You sound relieved." "I am, because they finally know what silence feels like." And later that night, I opened the photo album I hadn't touched in years. Ethan at 10, smiling with missing teeth. Lauren at their wedding, pretending sweetness while already calculating her next move. I closed the book and whispered, "You were my sun, but she was your mirror." 2 days later, the doorbell rang. It was Harlan again. Raincoat, briefcase, same calm eyes. He handed me a folder labeled Closure. Inside, a single sheet confirming all debts cleared, all fraud investigations redirected. At the bottom, Martin's signature and a note. They have nothing left but their names. I looked up. "So it's over?" Harlan nodded. "Legally, yes, but I think you won long before this." I smiled. The day they called me useless. That night, I finally slept. Deep, dreamless. When I woke, the sky over the bay was golden again. I brewed tea, opened the balcony door, and let the air in. My phone vibrated once more. Another message from Ethan. "Mom, I don't know what to say. We're ruined. She's gone. I'm sorry." I typed 3 words, then deleted them. Instead, I wrote something better. "Sometimes, loss is the only cure." And hit send. The bay was quiet. The world moved on. But somewhere out there, a woman once called useless had rebuilt herself into a verdict. They boarded a luxury cruise. They came back to reality. Bankrupt. They came back 12 days later. The sun was brutal that morning, the kind of heat that exposes everything. A black car pulled up outside my old villa. Lauren stepped out first, wrapped in sunglasses, pretending confidence. Ethan followed, eyes sunken, phone pressed to his ear like it was a shield. But the gate didn't open. Her access code was invalid. She pressed it again, harder this time. Beep? Denied. Then she shouted, "Ethan, try yours!" He did. Same result. And that's when the new owner, Mrs. Benson, walked out. Calm, holding a mug of tea. Lauren froze. "What are you doing here?" she demanded. "Mrs. Utz." Benson smiled. "I live here. Who are you?" "This is our home," Lauren snapped. "We own this property." Mrs. Benson tilted her head. "You might want to check that again, sweetheart. The deed says Caldwell sold to Benson. Full payment cleared." Ethan turned pale. "Sold? No, that can't be." "Oh, but it is," Mrs. Benson said kindly. "Your mother handled it herself." And with that, she closed the gate. Lauren stood frozen, the echo of the lock ringing louder than her heartbeat. For the first time, she didn't have words. At that exact moment, my phone buzzed. Harlan had sent a photo. Lauren and Ethan standing outside the villa, faces twisted in disbelief. Caption, "Delivery received." I smiled. "Good timing," I said, pouring myself another cup of coffee. Martin called minutes later. "They showed up, just like you predicted." "Did they realize yet?" "Oh, they're realizing in slow motion. The beauty of paperwork. No one believes it until it's signed." That evening, Ethan finally called. His voice cracked between anger and fear. "Mom, how could you? You sold our home. Our home?" I interrupted. "That's interesting. I don't remember you making a single payment." He went silent. "You used my name," I continued. "You borrowed against my property. You tried to leave me with your debt." "It was Lauren's idea," he blurted out. "I didn't know what she was doing." I sighed. "You always say that, Ethan. About everything." He tried again. "Please, Mom, we're ruined. We have nowhere to go." "Then maybe," I said calmly, "you'll finally learn what it means to build something instead of stealing it." He said nothing, just breathing, heavy, ashamed, cornered. Then Lauren's voice cut through the line, shouting in the background, "Tell her we'll sue! Tell her she'll regret this!" I laughed softly. "Regret? I've already lived mine. You're just starting yours." And I hung up. That night, the doorbell rang. When I opened it, Lauren was standing there, soaked from the rain, makeup streaked, eyes wild. "You think you've won?" she hissed. "You ruined your own son's life. You're cruel." I looked her in the eye. "No, Lauren, I'm finished being kind. She pushed past me, trying to step inside. I didn't move. Behind her, Harlan appeared from the shadows. Calm, coat still dripping. "I'd stay right there, Mrs. Caldwell. You're trespassing now." She spun around. You're recording this, aren't you?" He held up his phone. "Always." Lauren froze, trembling with humiliation. "This isn't over," she whispered. "It is, and that's exactly why it hurts." She stared at me for a long moment, then turned and left, heels clattering like broken glass against the concrete. The next morning, Martin called again. "She really came to your apartment?" "Yes, and she left the way she should have, empty-handed." He chuckled. "The police won't bother you. Harlan already filed the report. You're clean. She's cornered." "Good. I'm not interested in revenge, just peace with paperwork." He paused. "You realize you've become every lawyer's dream client?" "Why?" I asked. "Because you fight with logic, not rage." Later that week, a letter arrived. Not from them, but from the court. The loans Lauren forged had been voided, and the fraud investigation was now in her name. Ethan's, too, as co-signer. I didn't smile. I just folded the letter and placed it next to the photo of my late husband, Richard. "You'd be proud," I whispered. "They thought I'd crumble. I just learned your language. Contracts." 2 days later, Carol came over with groceries and 2 cups of tea. "I saw the news," she said. "Your daughter-in-law's name is everywhere. She'll survive. People like her always find another stage. And you?" I looked at the horizon. "I found something better. Stillness." She smiled. "You finally stopped apologizing for surviving." Maybe I just stopped apologizing, period. That evening, the news reported Lauren filing for bankruptcy. Ethan had left her. The same woman who once mocked me for living in the past was now trapped in it. I didn't celebrate, but I did allow myself one quiet laugh. Justice wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about ending the noise. Before bed, I opened my phone and drafted a message to Ethan. "You once said I was old-fashioned. Maybe I am, but the difference is I keep what I build." I didn't send it. Some words are meant to stay private. Instead, I wrote a new entry in my journal. "I built peace, they built debt. The math always wins." As I turned off the lights, the room felt still, almost holy. The world outside moved, but for once it wasn't against me. From now on, I didn't need a house, or a title, or a family that didn't understand loyalty. All I needed was silence, the kind that used to scare me, now my favorite sound. That night, the phone started buzzing. Once, twice, then nonstop. 54 missed calls, all from Ethan. I sat on the balcony, watching the rain hit the glass. The city lights blinked like weak apologies. The phone kept flashing his name. "Ethan, son." I didn't move. Then the message arrived. "Mom, please talk to me. We didn't mean it this way. She's gone. I don't know what to do." I stared at the screen for a long time. It felt empty. Not painful, just done. He didn't even say sorry. He just said she's gone. The phone rang again, voicemail this time. His voice cracked. "Mom, please, I need you. Everything's falling apart. I lost everything, her, the house, the money. I just need to hear your voice." I played it once, then again, and again. Not to feel something, but to make sure I really didn't. I typed a reply, paused, deleted it. Then I wrote something else. "You only miss me now that I said no." I hit send. The message turned blue. Read. No reply. For years I had begged for his time, for one visit, for one call, for one moment where I wasn't an obligation. Now he was the one waiting, counting minutes that would never come back. That's the thing about silence. Once you learn to live in it, you stop answering noise. I turned the phone face down on the table. It buzzed once more, then stopped. I poured myself tea, the kind he used to say smelled too strong. I smiled. That scent now meant freedom. On the TV, the news replayed footage from the cruise port. Lauren's name still trending under financial fraud, domestic dispute, reporters crowding the dock, her sunglasses gone, her voice caught on camera. "It was her! His mother did this!" The clip ended, the anchor's voice softened. Authorities confirm no evidence of wrongdoing from Mrs. Caldwell. No evidence, no guilt, no need to explain. I switched off the TV, silence again. Then a knock at the door. Carol. She didn't ask questions, just handed me a paper bag. Inside, lemon cookies and a note. "Peace suits you." I nodded, tears pressing behind control. Not sadness, just release. She sat beside me quietly. No music, no words. Finally, she said, "Do you think he'll ever understand?" I looked at the phone, still face down. Maybe one day, but understanding comes after loss. Later that night, the rain stopped. I opened the window. The smell of wet pavement filled the room. For the first time, I realized I wasn't waiting anymore. Not for his call, not for his apology, not for anyone's permission to rest. I picked up the phone one last time, scrolled through the missed calls, then pressed delete all. The screen went blank. Peace looked exactly like that, a quiet screen in the dark. They called me weak when I was quiet. They called me cold when I stopped forgiving. But I wasn't either. I was finished. Fade out with the sound of the phone's buzz, then silence. 54 missed calls, one answered by silence. Morning came slower that day, the kind of light that doesn't rush. It just arrives, steady, gentle, sure. I opened my eyes to silence. No buzzing phone, no unanswered messages, no noise pretending to be love. It took me a second to remember where I was. Not in the villa, not in the house filled with their laughter and lies, in my own small apartment, with peace paid in full. The walls were bare, just one framed picture. Richard's, taken before the illness. He was smiling at something I couldn't see. Maybe he knew this day would come. I made coffee. Black. No sugar, no compromise. The smell filled the room like truth finally allowed to breathe. For months, I had been the woman waiting by the phone. Now the phone was nothing but a tool. Silent, obedient, harmless. A knock came at the door. 3 soft taps. I already knew who it was. Carol stood there with her paper bag. Same cookies, same note, same smile. "Peace suits you," she said. I smiled back. "It finally fits." She looked around the apartment. "You really did it. I didn't have a choice. Maybe that's what freedom is, doing what's left when there's nothing else." She laughed softly. "You sound like him." "Richard?" "Always." We sat down with our coffee. No talking for a while. That's what friendship at this age looks like. Quiet comfort, not constant words. After a few minutes, she asked, "Have you heard from him?" "Ethan?" I said, and exhaled slowly. "He called 54 times last night. I didn't pick up." Carol nodded, no surprise. "You will one day." "I don't think so. Some bridges shouldn't be rebuilt. They were built on lies to begin with." She didn't argue. She just reached over and touched my hand. "You did what he never could. You chose yourself." When she left, I opened the window. The air smelled clean, like rain had washed away everything that used to hurt. I stood there for a while, just breathing. The city was waking up. Children rushing to school, dogs barking, a couple arguing in the street. Normal life, ordinary peace. I used to crave grand things. Now all I wanted was this. I sat at my desk, opened my old ledger, the one that used to track every payment I made for them. Each line used to feel like love. Now it just looked like evidence. At the bottom of the last page, I wrote one sentence. "Forgiveness doesn't mean access." I closed the book. That part of my life was over. My phone buzzed once, a new message from Ethan, just one line. "Mom, I hope you're okay." I stared at it, not with anger, not with love, just distance, the kind that finally protects you. Then I typed, "I am," and hit send. That was all. No lecture, no closure request, just truth. Around noon, I walked to the pier, the same place where their crews had departed, same ocean, different woman. The sky was pale blue, the water was quiet, like it was keeping my secret. I sat on a bench and watched people pass by, a mother chasing her toddler, a young couple fighting about something small, a man feeding pigeons. For a moment I thought, this is what survival looks like. It's not fireworks. It's breathing again without waiting for someone to notice. A memory crossed my mind, Ethan's voice from the call. "Mom, you're too old for all this." Too old. Those two words used to sting. Now they just sounded funny. Too old to be what? To start over? To protect myself? To win quietly? I looked at the ocean and whispered, "I'm not too old. I'm just done being used." The wind carried the words away, maybe to someone who needed them. When I came home, sunlight filled the room again. It landed on my hands, catching the glint of Richard's ring. I turned it once. He always said, "Keep what's yours." And finally, I had. I sat down, poured another cup of coffee, and opened my journal. This time, not to write what I lost, but what I learned. They thought silence meant defeat. They thought age meant surrender. But silence was the plan, and peace was the victory. I underlined the last line twice. It didn't need decoration. It already sounded like freedom. Outside, a car alarm went off, then stopped. Birds returned to the windowsill. Life kept going, without drama, without permission. I looked around this small, quiet apartment. No marble floors, no designer curtains, just space. And air that didn't belong to anyone else. For the first time, I realized something simple. I wasn't lonely. I was alone. And that's not the same. Evening came. I stood by the window again. Same spot, same light. Somewhere across the city, someone was probably shouting, someone was crying, someone was losing everything. And I was here, drinking coffee, and not feeling sorry anymore. Freedom doesn't always roar. Sometimes it just breathes. The sky turned orange, then gold, then gray. I whispered one last line to the fading light. He once said I was too old. Turns out, I was timeless. I smiled. Small, quiet, sure. Then turned off the lights. The world outside kept moving, but mine finally stopped spinning. They took my house. They mocked my age. They called me useless, but I called it a lesson. I didn't lose a family. I lost noise, and in the silence, I found myself. Sometimes, silence says more than any word ever could. It's not revenge. It's not anger. It's just peace, finally earned. If this story reminded you of someone you love, or someone you had to let go, take a deep breath. You made it through too. Thank you for spending this moment with me here at Grandma Life Stories. Every view, every comment, every story you share reminds us that quiet strength still matters in this world. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe and join our little community of hearts who still believe in justice. Told softly. And don't forget to leave a comment. Tell me what part of Nora's story spoke to you the most. Your words might inspire the next story we tell. Until next time, stay kind, stay wise, and remember, silence isn't weakness. It's the sound of strength. Subscribe to Grandma Life Stories for more heart-touching dramas about family, betrayal, and quiet justice. See you in the next chapter, where another quiet heart finds its justice.